Welcome to Radiance the podcast, a space where mysticism, embodiment, and modern wisdom meet. I am your host, Dr. Irene, acupuncturist, womb oracle, and sacred sexuality guide. Today, we are diving into one of the most ancient maps of feminine power, and that is our moon cycle. Not just as something to manage or hide, but as a sacred technology to embody, ally, and reclaim. So if you've ever felt ruled by your hormones, out of sync, or disconnected with your womb, this episode will guide you into a new relationship, one rooted in rhythm, reverence, and radical self-trust. So buckle your seatbelt and here we go. So I really wanted to bring this subject into this podcast because I encounter this a lot in my practice where women are disconnected with their rhythms, with their cycles, and they've out of control of how their hormones take over their lives. And so if you are someone like this, know that this can change. There can be a shift in your relationship to your body, to your moon cycle. And even if you are not bleeding anymore, if you are perimenopausal or already past the threshold into menopause, the blueprint of the moon cycle lives within your womb, within your psyche, within your vessel, within your body, because you've lived it. If you were not connected before, this blueprint is available for you and you can access it. So what I wanted to touch on is how it's so important to understand the different phases in our moon cycle. And that is a way we can access the different powers and different archetypes that live within our moon cycle. So in Chinese medicine, we have this understanding that illness comes because of unbalanced elements, unbalanced yin and yang, unbalanced energies, and stagnations of energies, deficiencies, excess, where things are not in coherence, where things are not in harmony. And we have also this understanding that as above, so below, that we are a hologram of nature and of the universe. We hold the codes and keys of creation within us. And more so as women, we have the codes of creation within our wombs. But in a whole, we are nature. And so if you look at your moon cycle with that frame view, then you start to realize that as nature has seasons and cycles, so does your moon cycle, and so does your life. And this is so important to understand because we live in a culture where we are expected as women to be in full summer, let's say, in full yang energy, in productivity, in the go, in the masculine energy, in the outward being of service and giving. And we've forgotten that we need to receive and that we need to slow down and that we need to stop, that there is also an inner winter within our bodies, within our lives. And this is so beautiful when you start to connect the dots and when you start to understand how your body flows through those different seasons of nature. So for example, our menstrual cycle, you can divide it in 4 phases. When you bleed, the bleeding time, after your bleed, it's called the follicular phase. This is when your endometrium starts to create a new lining. New blood starts to be created. So your endometrium sheds, which is this like line, this lining within your uterus that is created for the implantation of an egg. If there's no implantation, if there's no conception, then that endometrium sheds away and it creates space to create something new. So that's your winter. when we shed, when we release. And when you look at nature, what happens in winter? Things slow down and things die. The leaves have already fallen down from the tree, and the energy goes down into the roots. It goes very internal. Bears hibernate. It's a time to hibernate. It's a time to go within. It's a time to go into the dark. Then the endometrium lining starts to be created again, and this is called the follicular phase. And there's a surge of estrogen in our bodies. And this in Chinese medicine is related to blood, to yin, to the yin phase. And because there's a new lining, there's a rebirth. And so you can connect this phase to the season of spring. Utilizing the seasons is very helpful because you can observe what is happening in a particular season. So what happens in spring? Sprouts start to shoot out of the earth. New life starts to shoot out of the earth. You can start hearing the birds coming alive, singing again. And there is buds of new life in the trees and in plants and in flowers. So there is a surge of energy going upwards. The flow of energy starts to go up, and there's a big push from the inner realms of the root. So if you honored your winter, if you stopped and you rested and you went within and you did your arts and your crafts and you ate warm foods and stayed cozy and warm, then in spring you're going to have a lot of energy, a lot of life force to start taking action in your dreams, in your visions that came through in winter. In winter is when we get the downloads. We become the oracles. During our bleeding time, we become oracles, womb oracles. The veils between realities become very thin, so we can access shamanic dimensions, and we can receive messages from the stars and from our guides and from our ancestors. But we need to stop. We need to stop and be quiet to be able to be open to receive that and nourish our roots. And with that, in spring, in our follicular phase, and as women, you felt this, like right after you bleed, you're like, I'm back. Okay, I have energy again. I can do all the things. So this is your springtime. So springtime, it is a time to honor that rebirth, to start taking action, to start going outward. And then we have the ovulation phase, which is connected to summer. After spring, we have summer. And think about what happens in summer. Summer, we have the longest day of the year, summer solstice. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of sun. The days are longer. There's more activity. People are out having picnics and parties and gatherings and celebrations. So this is a time to be the most active, to be the most extroverted, and being in the community and offering your gifts to the community. In our bodies, what happens as women is that our temperature actually rises. There is a shift of temperature within our bodies, and when we ovulate. And that just blows my mind because it's a mirror of what happens in nature. And so the summertime in Chinese medicine is connected to the heart, to love, to the lovers, to pleasure and fun. Spring energy is connected to the liver in Chinese medicine, which is connected to planning and envisioning and directing the flow and being flexible and upsurge of energy. In the summer, the energy is already here and it's time to expand and to open and to give. After that comes the fall, and this is the luteal phase. So the energy starts to go down again. See, energy goes up, energy goes down, and that happens in our bodies as well. So the energy starts to go down. Think about what happens in fall season. The leaves start to become yellow and orange. It's such a beautiful, stunning time of the year. The leaves start to fall away, and it's a time to harvest. It's a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Everything that you did in the spring, now you're gonna be enjoying them and harvesting and starting to store food to prepare for winter. So it's not going out. It's about starting to go within again and to plan and to resource yourself for winter. And this happens in our luteal phase. So the luteal phase is after ovulation, and this is when estrogen starts to decline, progesterone starts to decline, but the temperature should stay a little bit up until menstruation, and then the temperature goes down again because there's a drop of estrogen and progesterone, and then we bleed again. So I just wanted to bring this into your consciousness because as you see, we are moving with their seasons, their cycles. We are not in full summer all the time, which is what we are expected to be in this society. And this is such a beautiful tool for you, for us, because in a way, it's like it gives us permission to flow and to shift and to change and be different in every phase of our moon cycle. And also to be able to prepare and to plan your life based on this energetics. So, for example, I am batch creating content right now for my podcast in this time of the month that I'm in my summer. I'm ovulating right now. I just ovulated. So I have a lot of energy. And so this is a time for me to record, to be here with you, to express. But as soon as the second phase of my luteal phase starts to kick in, I start to retrieve, I start to create very strong boundaries with my community, with my loved ones, and I go into my moon cave because I love being in my moon cave because, as I say, when we go into our moon cave, it's when we become shamans. It's when we become oracles. It's when we can tap into those magical realms of creation. And I love playing in those realms. I love going into trance states and do my self-hypnosis practices and my meditations. And yeah, it's such a beautiful, beautiful time of our cycles. Now, if you understand this, then you can plan. You can plan. And yes, you are going to have to say no to certain things, like no to gatherings before your period, yes to gatherings in your follicular and ovulation phase, and having conversations with your loved ones. If this is something that you want to implement in your life, which I highly recommend because this is the feminine way. This is how your body shifts and flows. And this is how we become in right alignment with ourselves and with nature. And when you do this, you have the capacity to heal so many things. Like your stress hormones come down because you are taking pressure off you. You are taking pressure off you. So you find spaces where you can relax more, where you can be in the quiet, where you don't have to be in the giving and the go, go, go all the time. You can give yourself permission to stop, to be still, to pamper yourself, to give yourself the right foods. During our luteal phase and menstrual phase, it's really important to give yourself warm and nourishing comfort foods like stews and bone broths and fats, like healthy fats, avocados and nuts. And then going more into our follicular phase and ovulation, then you can have more light foods. But that depends on your constitution. And I'll get to that soon. Every woman is different. You're going to flow different. And that's perfect. Some women have very severe PMS symptoms and they really, really get tired and have cramps and lower back pain. And some women are good. They have no symptoms. So each woman is going to have different symptoms and different manifestations. And that's why I have a womb quiz. I have a womb quiz based on Chinese medicine frame view where you can start to recognize or identify what type of constitution you have, if you're more hot, if you're more cold, if you have more stagnation, if you have more phlegm or dampness, if you're balanced and healthy. And this will give you more information to be able to give your body, to give your womb the right tools to come back into coherence, to come back into right alignments. So with that, also, I wanted to share how the feminine archetypes are weaved into our moon cycle and how they can also be an amazing map, an amazing blueprint of healing for your psyche and for your womb. Because, again, going back to the seasons, spring energy. Spring energy is the maiden, it's the virgin, it's the young woman in you that has a lot of energy, that wants to go out and be with her sisters and explore and discover her gifts and her craft and perfect her craft. So this is a time of exploration. And then we move into ovulation time, which is connected to the lover archetype and to the mother. So the maiden archetype, the virgin, you can see it as Diana the Huntress, Artemis. So this is a great way to start identifying these archetypes within you. When I say the archetypes, I want you to take note and later do your own research of what these goddesses mean, what are their virtues, what are their limitations, their light and their shadow, because this will give you a lot of information also of you. Because what are archetypes? Archetypes are the original blueprint of a symbol that has a certain energy and a certain consciousness, a certain pattern of behavior. And these archetypes are universal. They live within our collective consciousness. We all have them. We all have feminine and masculine archetypes. And as women, we have different feminine archetypes that are activated during the different phases of our moon time. So, springtime, follicular phase, Artemis, Diana the Huntress, the maiden, the virgin, the one that is untouched, that one that is new and pure and perfect within herself. So think about a young woman. She hasn't had a lot of life experience and she's exploring and she's so pure because she's just starting out. And then we have our ovulation time. That is when the lover archetype is activated. The lover archetype is activated. And this is related, for example, to the goddess of Aphrodite, of Venus, the goddess of love and pleasure and connection. And she is not committed to one partner yet. She's exploring different partnerships because she's also in this exploration of what she likes, what she doesn't like, her reclaiming her sexual energy as sacred and as a healing energy for herself and for others. And so this is the time of being the most open and expansive and generous, and not only being the lover to an intimate partner, but a lover of life, giving love to your children and your parents and your friends and your animals and nature. And then after the lover archetype comes the mother archetype, which is the first part of the luteal phase, where we still have energy. The energy hasn't dropped completely. The temperature is still high in our bodies. There is energy. And think about mothers. Mothers, ay, me quito el sombrero, como decimos en español. It's like, I honor you, I revere you. You are freaking amazing. Everything that you do, you are the multitaskers. You do everything. You're like taking care of the household, husband, partner, kids, driving them to their sports activities or classes and making sure that they're eating and sleeping and being healthy and taking care of yourself. And this is one of the shadow aspects of the mother archetype, is that mothers tend to lose themselves in the role of the mother. So they forget about their lover archetype. They forget about the virgin archetype, which if they had those phases in their lives, if you allowed yourself to be fully in those archetypes, you're going to bring that energy and that medicine into the other phases of your moon cycle and of your life. So it's really important to have anchored that sense of self, of who you are, in your medicine, your purpose, and as the lover that you are of life, and for yourself, self-care as well is so important. So luteal phase, self-care, starting to go into self-care. starting to honor the fruits of your labor, everything that is happening, has happened during your moon cycle. And then the luteal phase starts to go down and we start to go into our premenstrual phase. And for me, the archetype for that phase of the moon cycle is the witch, is the earth medicine woman that utilizes the herbs and the medicines of the earth for her healing. That's when you start doing your castor oil packs and your yoni steaming and your herbal teas to prepare your womb for the bleed, to prepare your household, to prepare your life, starting to put boundaries. And for me, magic is to utilize the powers of the elements of nature to create shifts that are in right alignment with you so that there can be a more expansive state of awareness, of love, and of recognition and remembrance of your true nature. So the witch is the one that does that. It's remembering that we are the medicine. We are the medicine. We have the medicine. After that, then we go into our bleed time, and this is where we tap into our crone, into the wise elder, into the wise woman, into the shaman, the high priestess that is connected to source, that has shed all the identities, that has passed through all the archetypes, all the phases, all the cycles to arrive to this moment where she lets go of all the identities. There's an ego death, and she just allows herself to be immersed in true nature, into the expansive state of self, of the I am Shiva and Shakti. And in this death, I remember who I am. I go into the void. So as you see, there is so much medicine in our moon cycles that we can harness, that we can tap into. And even if you are not bleeding anymore, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, if you have gone through the threshold, this blueprint, this map lives within your psyche, lives within your womb. And a beautiful way to still harness that medicine, those archetypes, is to sync yourself with the moon, the cycles of the moon herself, because she is moving through the cycles every 27.3 days. And so you have access to that. The dark moon is the archetype of the crone, of the wise elder. And the full moon is the archetype of the lover and of the mother. It's the full summer, winter and summer, in that frame view. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Remember that you can utilize this by tracking your cycle, by starting to track your cycle, by starting to plan your life around these archetypes and these energetics. I call it Moon Design Your Life. And if you have taken the womb quiz, or if you want to take the womb quiz, I also created a womb medicine bundle where I have a masterclass specifically for this that is called Moon Design Your Life, where I give you more in-depth tools and techniques and rituals for you to harness your moon cycle and utilize the different powers so that you can create a more beautiful life, a more aligned and coherent life that is full of health and vitality and trust, because this also starts to create more trust within yourself, within your body, within your cycles. And in that way also to reframe that our cycles are not a curse. They're not something bad or dirty or unhealthy. You're not sick. It's just that there's different energetics. There's different expressions of the faces. And if you start to see them that way, you can create a healthier relationship with your body, with your health, vitality, and menstrual cycle. So, sisters, with that, remember that your body is a sacred temple. Remember that you hold the medicine within you. Your womb is the holy grail, the holy grail. It's not a burden. She has her own wisdom, and it carries the wisdom of your ancestors. So imagine if you can just tap into that. And she's a living altar. So my invitation is to start implementing this into your life and see how this manifests, what unfolds. If anything got stirred up and you want to share, please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. I will try my best to answer you as fast as possible. And if something else stirred something inside of you, please subscribe, hit the bell so that you are notified every time a new episode with more medicine is released. And if you want to share this with some of your sisters, please do. And if you want to dive deeper, again, I have a womb quiz. It's completely free, and a womb medicine bundle with the masterclass Moon Design Your Life. I also teach you how to track your cycles with different tools, modalities. I give you self-care rituals. There's a yoni steaming guided ceremony in there for those of you who have never done a yoni steaming. This is a beautiful way to start incorporating that into your lives. And yeah, hit the subscribe button, leave me some comments, share it with your sisters, and I'll see you in the next one. Many blessings and ciao for now.